Hello crafty friends, Laura Rumble here with a layout using this month's Stick It Down single page sketch. It has a large photo with 4 small photos beneath with fishtail banners. I'm ditching the 4 photos, but I'm going to place my title in those 4 squares. I've translated the sketch to work with A4, as that's currently what I'm scrapping. The papers that I'm auditioning, trying to get the right combination, are a recent release from StickerKitten. I am on their design team, so I have to point that out and say this is an ad according to British law. I was playing with these papers and I just love the colour palette. And I picked out a photo to do for the Stick It Down sketch, and I put it down on my desk to go and get something, and when I came back it was on top of these papers and the colours just, it worked. So I ditched what I just got, put that back on the shelf and played with these papers again. I think it's a sign of a good collection when having trouble using anything else. So yeah, this is the second project in a row I've made with these papers, and it isn't going to stop there because I have some offcuts from this layout which are going to make it onto another layout as well. It's just the colours are just perfect. So the pattern is small succulent plants, and this is a photo of my nephew. Obviously he's got nothing to do with small succulent plants, but the colours work, so I'm going with it. And he's outside and there's leaves in the background and trees, so, you know, plants, it works. I'm not going to overthink it. So I'm snipping up bits of pattern paper to make piles of banners to go behind my 4 letters to spell out the title, which will be play. I made myself a little template, so I got nice even fishtail banners, and spoiler, well, we'll get there. So there we go. I've got 3 layers for each pile behind each letter, and yes, I'm not paying that much attention, and I just layer them up and staple them together. I find when I'm doing multiple layers and wanting some slightly poking out to the left and some slightly poking out to the right, maybe one a bit higher and one a bit lower, rather than glue or tape, staples is the way forward. It's much quicker and you can be more precise and get the 3 or however many layers done at the same time. Of course, I ran out of staples, but that's a quick fix. And yes, I'm just stapling my little piles together, and I look at them now and I think they're too big for the square that I've got my title on. So all that work neatly cutting perfectly even fishtail banners is undone because I'm going to go through each and every one and snip it down smaller. Never mind. Right, so I've cut that out. There's probably a lot of fist shaking going on. And I then decided I want some mixed media in the background. Now I've pulled out some stamps. They were free with a magazine either last year or the year before, and I've never used them. And I know why I've never used them. It's because they're acrylic. And I loathe acrylic stamps. Photopolymer, perfect. Stamp beautifully every time. Acrylic, horrible, plasticky, shiny. They repel ink. Yes, I'm not a fan. but the designs work, so I'm going to give it a whirl. I've rubbed over them to prime them, and I'm going to spray them with some Shimmerz. Got a mixture of browns and greens. Try spreading it out a bit with my finger. It didn't make much difference. And they didn't work, but that bottom one sort of worked. So I thought, well, what about if I just give them a bit more contact, give the ink a bit more time to settle on the paper. And they're not perfect images by any means, but for little background elements I think they work fine. I'm going to crispen up, I'm making up terms here, just the outlines of the stamped images with a little bit of ink. I'm spreading it around first with a cloth and my finger, and then I used a blending sponge, which is much easier and worked very well. Should have done that to begin with. I will remember that for next time. And yes, so slightly stamped over the top with part inked stamps. And now I'm going to town with the splatters, and what I'm trying to do is mix colours to match the colour of the paper. So I've got a greeny shade, a peachy corally, coral, I suppose it's coral, isn't it? And then slightly darker, so I'm mixing a bit of the brown with the coral. And then I decide to pull in a tiny bit, this is Heidi Swapp Colour Shine, in, I don't know what the shade's called, it's turquoise basically. And I thought that little pop of blue would make all the difference. My Neff's shorts are blue, so it also ties back into the photo as well. And even though I've already backed the photo twice, I decide I need a bit of the corally colour up at the top as well. So I back a really, really thin border of that coral, and I find that just gave it a little something. I mean, it's really tiny, but that pop of colour just drew more focus than you would think possible for such a tiny border. Now I'm looking at my alphas, and they're very grey, which was fine to begin with, but I seem to have added quite a lot of brown, and the brown and the grey were slightly jarring to me. So that's an easy fix. I just give them a quick spritz of colour and pushed that around with a paintbrush, gave them a couple of coats, and then they perfectly matched. So they will dry on my desk and then go back on top of those white squares. I'm popping up my photo on some corrugated cardboard. I'm using recycled packaging rather than foam. Just feel a bit better about it, and it's free, which is always a good thing. I have got a new bottle of Tombow Monomulti, and I don't know if it's my imagination or whether it has changed. It seems more slippy, more slidey, and slightly slower to grab the paper. So I was having a little bit of a problem getting, well, not problem, I was just being impatient, and my clusters and the squares and even the alphas as well were sliding around a bit and not staying exactly where I put them the first time. I bought 6 bottles, so I'll definitely be able to tell by the end whether they have changed the recipe. But there's not a lot I can do about it because I'm not wasting 6 bottles. So perhaps I will just have to slow down a bit and not be in such a rush all the time. I have added 3 sets of 3 enamel dots. Again, I've picked out colours that match the papers and the mixed media as best I can, and I've popped the date on one of the title tiles and call it done. So thank you very much for watching. Like, subscribe and all that jazz, and I'll see you in the next one.